Hello, this is Ms. Schrader. Today we are going to be talking about the Articles of Confederation. My students, you need a piece of paper and something to write with. You're going to be taking between 7 and 10 notes, and then you want to be writing 7 to 10 sentences telling me what you have learned, what you find interesting and important about the Articles of Confederation. The paper that you're looking at right now is the Articles of Confederation. This is one of the copies of it that is at the National Archives in Washington, D.C. The document is actually called the Articles of Confederation and Perpetual Union, and it was an agreement among the original 13 states of the United States. It was approved in November of 1777 and became the original government system for the United States. This is what the original United States looked like back in 1777 when the Articles of Confederation were developed. And if you look at it, not only can you see that it's divided into sections, but it is divided into states. And part of the reason for that was because they did want to think of themselves as small, separate countries. A confederation, the actual definition of the word, refers to a group that have come together for a particular reason and can separate if that has finished or if they don't want to belong to that membership anymore. So it's not like the United States today, where an individual state is not allowed to leave the country. Back then, theoretically, they could do what they wanted. At the end of the American Revolution, Americans were really worried about any one group having too much power. They were really worried about an individual having too much power. A lot of people were afraid that George Washington might want to set himself up as a king. And they were desperately trying to make sure that any one group or any one individual didn't have too much power. So they set up a government system, the Articles of Confederation, which gave power to the individual states and much less power to the national government. One of the biggest problems that the United States had under the Articles of Confederation dealt with getting money to pay its debts. Um, you need to understand the difference between the national government and the state governments. And in this case, the national government could not tax the states, could not ask them for money without their permission. And it's shown really well here in this cartoon. Congress is saying, please give money to help us pay our debts. And the states are saying, no, we're not going to do that. We don't have to help you. Some of the states at this time had paid their own debts from the Revolutionary War, some of them had not. And the Congress believed that they ought to take all of that debt, put it together, and pay it off together as one nation. And some of the states said, no, we don't want to do that. Added to that, the national government couldn't ask individual states for money for things like roads that traveled between one state and another. This meant that they didn't have good roads traveling between these places, which decreases trade. They can ask but may not receive money for an army, which means that they may not have an army with which to protect the government and to protect the people. This cartoon not only shows you that there's no funding for the Army and the Navy and other things, they don't have a strong executive branch. You need a strong executive branch to deal with a crisis. If we're being attacked by another country now, we can't have Congress all gather in and start to debate it. It will take forever. You need a strong executive, a president, to resolve the issue. And the Articles of Confederation did not give one. During the Articles of Confederation, individual states could print their own individual money. By doing that, that once again strengthens the individual states and weakens the national government. One of the things that was changed immediately when they got rid of the Articles of Confederation was that there would be national money. But during the Articles of Confederation, national money had so little value, people said that they would take the money, the paper bills, from the national government and use it to wallpaper their houses to keep them warm. Now, the Articles of Confederation did have some things that were good, and one of the most important of those is the Land Ordinance of 1789. In the Land Ordinance of 1789, they set up how territories can become states with equal rights to other states. They're specifically talking about the area you're looking at right now in this map, the area that becomes Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Another thing that they set up with these areas is they specifically said no slavery was allowed. And last but not least, they also set it up, and if you take a look at the picture towards the bottom, you can see this little grid. They divided up the land into sales positions. So they basically set it up in townships. And at least one of those townships was to be set up for a school. So either they built the school there or they rented the land out and used the money for the school. And this is basically going with the idea that for this entire little section, this township, there will be a school funded for all the children who live in it. Now, if you want an interesting piece of trivia, we can go with this one. This man is John Hanson. He was the president of the Congress under the Articles of Confederation. He had basically no power whatsoever, so he wasn't like a president under the Constitution like we have today. But some people will point out that they think he's the first president of the United States, and he even gets statues in a couple different places, including in his hometown of Frederick. In 1787, James Madison, the man you see in the picture here, called for a conference on revisiting the Articles of Confederation and trying to make them stronger. They met in Philadelphia, the same place that they met to write the Declaration of Independence. And after a great deal of discussion, it was agreed that they needed to just throw out the Articles of Confederation and start with something new. On September 17th, 1787, the members of the Constitutional Congress signed the Constitution and the same hall that the Declaration of Independence was signed in, Liberty Hall. And this painting that you're looking at is from the 1940s. I'm thinking I need to do a wee video of it, but it is showing the signing of the Declaration of Independence, which gives more power to the national government and less to the individual states. And so that's the main difference between that and the Articles of Confederation. Okay, my students, we have been discussing the Articles of Confederation. You're giving me between 7 and 10 sentences about what you found interesting, educational, and important. Thank you.